there's no doubt that the Prime Minister, who had been lagging in the polls until early this year, hadn't been performing well last year, appears to have gone away and had a good hard look at his strategy, both politically and in a media sense, and come back out with a lot more, with renewed energy, with renewed clarity in the way he put out his message and to the range of people he was putting it out to. You mentioned podcasts and you mentioned influencers. The government reached out to them and clearly had some success there. There was some coverage in the media late last week about the extent of that reach, and it showed that the government on TikTok, for example, was outperforming, as in getting picked up on TikTok by people at about twice the rate of the coalition. So there's that. I think though that in a way that's not as important as what the election shows us about the relationship between the Liberal National Party coalition and the Murdoch media, the News Corp Australia, whether it's on Sky News Australia or whether it's in the national daily broadsheet newspaper, The Australian, or indeed the News Corp tabloids around the country. And it's been clear now, and I'm by no means the only commentator saying this, a number of people are, that those newspapers, those outlets have been strongly endorsing the coalition and its policies for about 15 years at least now, in both in its pre-election editorials on the eve of the election, and also just in general coverage. And it's not working for them. I mean, the result of the 2022 election, you would have thought, told them that, but they appear to have doubled down and done much the same this time. I mean, there's all sorts of nuances in what the current or the then leader Scott Morrison was doing compared to Peter Dutton, the leader until the weekend. But really, the main problem is that they were in bed with News Corp Australia and pursuing a whole lot of culture wars, which appear to have been directly imported from America. And at a time when most Australians pretty clearly gave the message via the ballot box that, you know, they are concerned not about those issues, about who's woke and who's not, and who should be having a welcome to country or an acknowledgement to country, but actually cost of living issues, climate change, whether and which party is going to actually address those issues to do with climate change. And there was a clear choice there, and voters made that choice on the weekend.
Do you agree with the assessment that Peter Dutton hadn't been stress tested enough prior to those news conferences that we saw in the campaign? That has been an assessment, although he's been a politician for a long time, though.
That's right, he has. He has been a politician for a long time, and he's been a cabinet minister in previous governments. So, yes, he's an experienced politician. But what appeared to happen is that he spent too much time in the studios of Sky News Australia, where he both wasn't asked difficult questions, and he was also given a lot of free advice about how and in what way to run the country. And he didn't go on to nearly enough other outlets, including the ABC, but not only the ABC, others, and in the Canberra Press Gallery and so on, and getting himself subjected to some searching questions, some follow-up questions, some probing, and he I found it quite surprising the extent to which he didn't appear prepared for that. And I don't know why. I'm not inside his mind, but it certainly backfired for him. I think the other element of it is the extent to which News Corp Australia's outlets have not, as far as I can see, I haven't done a comprehensive analysis yet, but as far as I can see, they haven't reflected at all on their role in this election result. Media companies and political parties are in different businesses, but you could be forgiven for thinking that News Corp Australia thought it was in the business of being a political party, in that the amount of advice it gave to the Liberal Party and the National Party. But the problem is that media companies are in the business, particularly commercial media, of maximising their audience. They're not in the business of creating policies for the country and then persuading everybody about them. And so they don't actually, and in addition to that, in recent years, the media has got a great deal more opinionated. There's less factual reporting, more opinion, and that in order for a media company to gather the kind of audience it wants, they often feel the need to just get louder and louder and shoutier. And again, that might or might not work for them as a media company, but it definitely isn't working for a political party.